V.I. Lenin Blancism published. Source: Lenin Collected Works, Progress Publishers, 1964, Moscow, Volume 24, pages 34–37. Translated, Isaacs Bernard Transcription / markup, B. Baggins and D. Walters Public Domain, Lenin Internet Archive 1999. You may freely copy, distribute, display and perform this work, as well as make derivative and commercial works. Please credit Marxist's Internet Archive as your source. Read-me Louis Blanc, the French socialist, won unenviable notoriety during the Revolution of 1848 by changing his stand from that of the class struggle to that of petty bourgeois illusions adorned with would-be socialist phraseology, but in reality tending to strengthen the influence of the bourgeoisie over the proletariat. Louis Blanc looked to the bourgeoisie for assistance, hoped, and inspired hopes in others, that the bourgeoisie could help the workers in the matter of labor organization, this vague term purporting to express socialist tendencies. Blancism has now gained the upper hand in right-wing social democracy, in the organizing committee party in Russia. Chkhiaids, Tsereteli, Steklov, and many others, who are now leaders of the Petrograd Soviet of Workers and Soldiers Deputies and were also leaders of the recent All-Russia Conference of Soviets, have taken the same stand as Louis Blanc. On all major issues of present-day political life, these leaders, who occupy approximately the position of the international centrist trend represented by Kautsky, Longwit, Trotsky, and many others, have embraced the petty bourgeois views of Louis Blanc. Take, for instance, the question of war. The proletarian standpoint in this matter consists of a definite class characterization of war, and of an irreconcilable hostility to imperialist war, that is, to a war between groups of capitalist countries, no matter whether monarchies or republics, for a division of capitalists' spoils. The petty bourgeois viewpoint differs from the bourgeois one: outright justification of the war, outright defense of the fatherland, i.e., defense of the interests of one's own capitalists, defense of their right to annexations, in that the petty bourgeois renounces annexations, condemns imperialism, demands from the bourgeoisie that it cease to be imperialistic while keeping within the framework of world imperialist relations and the capitalist system of economy. Confining himself to this mild, innocuous, wishy-washy declamation, the petty bourgeois, in practice, trail helplessly behind the bourgeoisie, sympathizing in some things with the proletariat in words, remaining dependent on the bourgeoisie in deeds, unable or unwilling to understand the path leading to the overthrow of the capitalist yoke, the only path that can rid the world of imperialism. To demand of the bourgeois governments that they make a solemn declaration in the spirit of renouncing annexations is the height of audacity on the part of the petty bourgeois, and an example of anti-imperialist Zimmerwaldist consistency. It is not difficult to see that this is Blancism of the worst type. For one thing, no bourgeois politician with any experience will ever have difficulty in mouthing any number of glib, brilliant, high-sounding phrases against annexations in general, as meaningless as they are non-committal. But when it comes to deeds, one can always do a conjuring trick after the manner of Reck, which had the deplorable courage to declare that Kurland, now annexed by the imperialist predators of bourgeois Germany, was not annexed by Russia. This is trickery of the most disgusting kind, the most shameless deception of the workers by the bourgeoisie, for anybody the least familiar with politics must know that Kurland had always been annexed to Russia. We openly and directly challenge Rec. 1. to present to the people such a political definition of the concept annexation as would apply equally to all annexations in the world, German, British, and Russian, past and present, to all without exception. 2. To state clearly and definitely what, in its opinion, is meant by renunciation of annexations, not in word, but in deed. To give such a political definition of the concept renunciation of annexations indeed as would apply not only to the Germans, but also to the English and all other nations who have ever practiced annexations. We maintain that REC will either decline to accept our challenge or it will be exposed by us before the whole nation. And it is precisely because of this question of Kurland touched upon by REC that our dispute is not a theoretical one but a practical one of the greatest urgency and vital interest. Second, let us assume, if only for a moment, that the bourgeois ministers are the ideal of honesty, that the Ouchkovs, Lvovs, Milyakovs and company sincerely believe in the possibility of renouncing annexations, while preserving capitalism, and that they really want to renounce them. Let us, for a moment, assume even this. Let us make this Blancist assumption. One is entitled to ask, can a grown-up person be content with what people think of themselves, without comparing it with what they do? Is it possible for a Marxist not to distinguish good wishes and declarations from objective realities? No. It is not. Annexations are maintained by the bonds of finance capital, banking capital, imperialist capital. Herein is the modern, the economic, foundation of annexations. From this angle, annexations are politically guaranteed profits on thousands of millions of capital invested in thousands upon thousands of enterprises in the annexed countries. It is impossible, even given the wish to do so, to renounce annexations without taking decisive steps towards throwing off the yoke of capitalism. Does that mean, as Jedinstvo, Rabukazia Gazeta, and the other Louis Blanc of our petty bourgeoisie are ready to conclude and actually do conclude, that we must not take any decisive steps towards overthrowing capitalism, that we must accept at least a modicum of annexations? No. Decisive steps must be taken towards the overthrow of capitalism. They must be taken ably and gradually, relying only on the class consciousness and organized activity of the overwhelming majority of the workers and poor peasants. But taken they must be. The Soviets of Workers' Deputies have already started to take them in a number of places in Russia. The order of the day now is a decisive and irrevocable parting of the ways with the Louis Blanc, the Chkhiaidzes, Zaratellas, Steklovs, the party of the OC, the party of socialist revolutionaries, etc., etc. The masses must be made to see that Blancism is ruining and will utterly ruin the further success of the revolution, even the success of freedom, unless the masses realize how harmful these petty bourgeois illusions are and join the class-conscious workers in their cautious, gradual, well-considered, yet firm and direct steps towards socialism. Outside of socialism there is no deliverance of humanity from wars, from hunger, from the destruction of still more millions and millions of human beings. Notes, placeholder. 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 Less than backward forward greater than works index.